Ahoy hoy, I'm Planet Walker, and today I want to talk about a charity that has been in the news quite a bit recently due to controversy. Now, in case you haven't heard, a UK charity that is known for supporting trans youth and their families was recently in quite a bit of hot water. Now, the charity's name is Mermaids, and there has been more than one controversy over the last week. Some of the controversies are just nothing, like, why would you get mad about this? But then some of the other controversies are more serious. Now, I am filming this on the 7th, so when I say past week, I am talking about from the 7th, not from when this video actually releases. Also, there might be something that happens between now and then that I will not be able to talk about because I can't see into the future. Now, I want to start by mentioning something that has happened recently, because although this may not have led to the allegations against Mermaids, I think it's still important to bring up. This is because a lot of TERFs and gender critical folk have been bringing it up when talking about the Mermaids stuff. So let's start by talking about another charity called the SLG Alliance. Wait, sorry, it's called the LGB Alliance. Now, currently what is happening is Mermaids is trying to strip the LGB Alliance of its charitable status, because it's more of a hate group than an actual charity. Now, people do often disagree with this, but I ask you one question. What has the LGB Alliance done to help LGB rights? The answer that you get given is that they're fighting for the right for people to define themselves as same-sex attracted. However, last I checked, everyone in the UK does have that right. Right? And as far as I can tell, that right is not really under attack. The best that people can do is say, but have you seen a person on Twitter say this? That person on Twitter that just got ratioed? Is that the person that you're talking about? No, what it really is it's a cover to stir up a moral panic about trans people trying to force language on everyone. So I'd like to re-ask the question that I asked earlier, but rephrase it to stop getting the same answer. What has the LGB Alliance done for bisexual rights? As a bisexual person, I'd love to know what they've done for my rights, especially if I ever need to go to the UK, because I'm certainly not going to be defining myself as same-sex attracted. So now that we understand what's going on between Mermaids and the LGB Alliance, we can kind of understand that delegitimising Mermaids is really convenient for the LGB Alliance. It may not make a legal difference, but it's still important to win in the court of public opinion. And once again, I want to emphasise that I don't think it's the LGB Alliance that is orchestrating this. I know it sounds like I'm trying to implicate the LGB Alliance, but I'm not. What I'm saying is that a lot of gender critical folk are trying to use this to paint the LGB Alliance in a better light. It's very much a classic, well, if these people are bad, then the people that they're against, well, they must be the good guys, right? Anyway, what are the controversies that Mermaids have been in? Firstly, you've got the binder controversy. So it seems like this was started by someone from the Telegraph, who did a quote-unquote investigation. This is where they pretended to be a 14-year-old wanting a binder whose parents did not want them to get a binder. And from what I can tell, Mermaids was going to send them a binder. And you know what? I don't actually find much of an issue with this. Now, of course, if you're a charity that wants to send someone a binder, then you do have to make sure you lay out all the risks. That's kind of a given, I think. It's very important that people know how to use the binder, what to do and what not to do. That way it increases safety, and people being safe is a good thing. If people are going to get binders, I'd rather they get it through a service which is going to let them know, hey, here's how you use it to make sure you don't run into any issues. Of course, the issue that was focused on wasn't, does Mermaids tell people how to use it correctly and what the risks are? Instead, the controversy was that Mermaids went against the parents' wishes. Now, I hope it's not just me, but I don't think that parents are entitled to control every aspect of their child's life. I think that as long as children aren't harming anyone or breaking any laws, then they should be able to do what they want if it makes them happy. Now, of course, there can be good reasons for parents restricting certain activities. Like, let's say that a parent says, look, little Timmy, you're not allowed more than 5 hours of video games a day. And then little Timmy plays 5 hours of video games in a day. The parents can say, all right, it's time to turn that off, go play outside. That, I think, is fine, even though there will be some people that will disagree with me. But to make this an analogy, let's say that little Timmy decides, okay, I'm going to go round to a friend's place and play video games there, and the friend's parents let him play video games because it's raining outside. I think that that is perfectly fine. Now, you may disagree with me, but if parents are trying to make their child do something that the child finds uncomfortable, I think that it's fine to say, you know what, I'm not going to respect the parents' wishes on this. And I think the same goes for gender dysphoria. If a child is feeling dysphoric, I don't think that it's the parents' right to say, well, I don't think that you should be able to do anything to alleviate that dysphoria. You see, a mantra that I've heard a lot of people repeat over and over again is let kids be kids. And you know, I agree with that. I may not agree in the way that you mean it, but I do agree with that. But I also think that a good mantra as well is let children make themselves comfortable. Now, it may not have the same catchiness, but I think it's certainly a good message, at least in my opinion. Now, on to the second controversy, which is about Discord. And I need to say that I'm pretty sure that Mermaids don't have an official Discord server. Now, when it comes to this controversy, something happened on Discord because Discord does have shady people on there, like every website. And they tried to use that and connect it to something that Mermaids did. So what it seems like happened is there were people chatting on Mermaids chat rooms, and then some of them had the idea to start a Discord server, and one of the moderators said, yeah, sure, go for it. But they did have to tell them that because it's not run by Mermaids, that it can't have Mermaids' name attached to it. Now, from what I can tell, there was a miner that happened to be interacting in Mermaids chat rooms, and they had an encounter with someone who certainly wasn't a great person on Discord. On a random server, by the way. As far as I can tell, Mermaids really had nothing to do with this. Now, you can question whether the moderator did a good thing or a bad thing. You know, there might be more context behind what the moderator was saying. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, if there was something bad that was happening here, you wouldn't have to take a completely separate, unrelated event and try and somehow make it like it was Mermaids' fault. But we're not done, because there is a final thing, and this final thing is more serious, and I'm going to have to use certain language to try and, you know, make sure that this video is YouTube friendly. So rather than using direct terms, I'm going to try and use a less direct term, which more or less means the same thing. Content warning, by the way, because there will be mention of minor attracted people, otherwise known as maps. So I think we can all agree that maps are bad. So if it turned out that there was a trustee of Mermaids who said that, you know, maps aren't all that bad, that would be pretty bad for Mermaids. Now, that is more or less what happened. Jacob Breslow, a trustee of Mermaids, went to a conference in 2011 where he gave a speech that was supportive of maps. Now, I'm not going to lie, I was expecting to read his speech and go, oh yeah, this is not as bad as everyone's saying it is. I was wrong. It's pretty bad. I'm not going to defend the guy. It's one of them things where if there was a good point that he was trying to make, he did it terribly. You do not compare children to shoes in the way that he did. That's just not acceptable. So you don't need to stand up for this guy. There is only one defense that someone could make about this guy, and that was, it was 11 years ago. He might have changed his mind, but it doesn't seem likely. Now the good news is that he stood down pretty much immediately after that came out. Although it wasn't really much of a choice, because if he didn't stand down, it seemed like Mermaids would have kicked him out anyway. Now, I will say that it is a good thing that that came out. You know, we do have to hold people in positions of power accountable. And, you know, being a trustee of a charity is it's a position of power in a way. But I don't think that this is a slam dunk that a lot of gender critical folk think that it is, because firstly, he was only a trustee for 2 months. That's not a lot of time at all. And secondly, things like this do fall through the cracks. But Mermaids has said, hey look, we're going to try and do better in the future to avoid this kind of thing ever happening again. Mermaids have basically done what they should do in the situation, and this guy's views do not reflect that of Mermaids. Just because there is an individual in a company that holds certain views, that doesn't mean that those views are the views of the company. Especially when the company immediately gets rid of the person who holds those views when it is found out that that person holds those views. Now, I do want to say that this could have gone so much worse for Mermaids if they were acting maliciously, and things were done differently. Had someone gone ahead and contacted Mermaids and said, hey look, this person's your trustee and look at what he said 11 years ago, and Mermaids did nothing, that would be pretty bad. The only issue is that if you contact Mermaids to let them know about that, they might actually do something about that and show that they aren't the evil people that you think that they are. And then you don't get to create a moral panic out of it and make mermaids out to be the bad people. Which is really what this is all about. Throughout it, all it's been is mermaids bad for this reason, mermaids bad for this reason. They throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks. It's very similar to the anti-vax mindset. They'll start from their position of vaccines bad and then just look for the evidence that confirms what they believe. Just because someone comes up with a lot of reasons why something is bad, it doesn't mean that that thing is bad. You have to make sure there are some good reasons why it is bad. Otherwise, I could say, well, gender critical people are bad because they're stinky, they have low IQ, some of them are racist, some of them are homophobic, and some of them are glinner. Look, there's 5 reasons why gender critical people are bad. Anyway, I hope this video helps people understand what's going on with the whole mermaids thing and why it isn't that big of a deal. I should also mention that it isn't the first time that people have tried to attack mermaids. It's happened in the past. It's just that this time there's been like 3 things all at once. It's yet another way that people have found to try and attack trans people because, unfortunately, that is something that's been happening a lot lately. Anyway, leave a like and subscribe if you like this video. Leave a comment letting me know your thoughts. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree with me. Let me know. As always, a big shout out to my $20 or more patrons: Hugh Jarsz, MC.Nutkin, SHaKie, Jett Alone, Nathaniel Muller, Vermont1777, Wolfie, Morrie, Graymore Ghost, KidVicious, Sacha Campbell, Militant Agnostic, Kitten, McKitten from Kittentown, Craig D'Amelio, Nurthen Thurmpson, and Richard M Chapman. If you want to support me financially, you can do so on Patreon. There should be a link there. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, be good to each other.